All right, you ready to do this shit? We've got legs today, so doing a combination of all dumbbell work and resistance bands. We're actually going to be using those quite a bit. So we're going to jump into this workout, but before we do, this video is sponsored by Undersun and Maverick, and got a cool giveaway for you. So we'll talk about the details here shortly. It's super easy to sign up. Speaking of which, I need to throw this in my water bottle. And then we're going to dive right into it. So our first exercise is probably one of my favorite ones with bands, and that is going to be a single leg squat. And we're going to make this a bit more hamstring glute focused with our technique. So real quick, we've talked about this in past workouts. When we're doing a single leg squat, if our stance is narrower, and if our knee is coming out further over our toe, we have a lot more movement at the knee and it becomes a little more quad focused. If we drop our stance back and we push backwards, push through the heel, get a really strong contraction there in the glutes and hamstrings. So that's what we're going to do, because our next exercise after that, it's going to be a little more quad focused. Hopefully you did your warm up, 10 minutes cardio, just to get warm, get loosened up. Do some very light stretching before you dive into this. Oh man, I've been dragging my feet on this one today. Oh, here we go. All right, if you've never done these before, don't stack the bands on top of them. Put them side by side and put it right under the arch of your foot, not under the toe. Grab the band nice and low here so we have tension at the beginning of the range of motion. And we're going to pop up into our starting position. From here, we can adjust our foot position. Like I said, I'm going to drop back just a little bit here. And so we're going to put that weight on the heel and drive back through the heel. So you can see my toe, I was exaggerating that a little bit, but the toe is kind of light. In other words, I'm not pressing through the front of my foot. Driving through the heel. Now we're going to slow our rep speed down a little. Let's get more controlled, more deliberate. Nice. So 1, 2, 1, 2. It's going to really kick up the intensity on these. People wonder how you make bands harder. Well, that's one way. Controlling rep speed. And as you do this, I want you to really think about squeezing the glutes as you do it. That's that mind-muscle connection. Should feel this really high on the hamstring, right at that glute hamstring tie-in where the two meet. Oh. Let me do one more. Nice. Yikes. All right, quick drink of water. Just grab your breath before we switch sides. We're not doing full rest periods here. Just enough to get our energy back. And our breath. These look easy if you've never done them before. But I don't care how strong you are, how many plates you can put on a leg press or on a bar on your back. This is a very unique feeling. It's hard to duplicate this same contraction with traditional exercises. So it's usually pretty surprising for people. Here we go. All right, now I need to be conscientious of rep speed. It's easy to catch yourself rushing through them. Remember, controlled rep speed means more time under tension, which is one way to increase the intensity. And it's feeling intense. I saw that, Mike. Tight quarters in here, especially holding the camera. Oh. All right, set one down. Let's go ahead and stretch out those hamstrings, one foot in front of the other. Drop that butt back. Good stuff. So this is one of my go-to exercises with bands. People ask what's my favorite lower body exercise when using resistance bands. This is it right here. And I can tell you, one of the really good things about it, besides the fact that you get this really strong contraction there and good burn in the glutes and hamstrings, is that we don't have the advantage of putting a bar on our back where we can put a ton of weight on there. So with bands, when we do unilateral exercise, meaning one leg at a time, we don't need as much overall resistance. So definitely an advantage of doing unilateral. Some people call them isolateral exercises. All right, so 90-second rest periods. Just enough to stretch and grab water and go. And in total transparency, I'm also picking some exercises that are a little easier on my low back because it has been fucked lately. Last week's leg workout was murder for me. Absolute murder on my back. I tried my best to suck it up, but it was killing me. And it's still pretty tight. I've been stubborn and haven't gone to physical therapy like I should be. So it's kind of my own fault, but having to work around it here this week. Here we go. One, two. It's not super slow, it's just controlled. And trust me, those controlled concentric pushes are just as hard as this eccentric phase. Everyone talks about controlled eccentrics or negatives, but try doing a controlled push. That's 10. I'm gonna do 2 more. I don't want to. There it is. I'm gonna grab that water. It's a short rest period. I always feel like the second leg is hardest just because energy levels. First leg kind of zaps you. All right, here we go. And 4 more. 9. 10. 11. Man. Keeping those rest periods short is definitely one way to really kick up the intensity in your workout. So don't rest too long. Not to mention, it's a waste of time. Get in, get it done. I'm assuming you got other more important shit to do. Ooh. This last one's gonna be murder. All right. No time like the present. Let's get it done. By the way, that's what I always tell myself. Anytime I feel I'm procrastinating, doing something I need to do, it's just that one simple statement. No time like the present. No better time. Get in there, get it done. Stop avoiding it. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good one. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's 10. I want to quit so bad. One more. Now, normally, I'm not going to say stupid shit like that in the middle of a workout by myself. It's actually kind of disempowering to say stuff like that. But I say it for your benefit so you know what I'm feeling in that moment. Where in that set I just want to quit. Where it's burning so bad. And then you got to push through that. All right, got the last side. Whew. So notice we're only getting about 90 degrees at the knee. And that's where we're trying to make this a little more glute hamstring focus, more movement at the hip, a little less at the knee. So we're still working quads here, but we're trying to shift the attention to glutes, hamstrings. And that's how you do it. More movement at the hip, less at the knee. And don't feel like you've got to get your foot position dialed in here at the start. I'll just get into position with my front foot and then just stand up. And then I can reposition wherever I feel comfortable. Six, 7, they're already getting tough. 8, 4 more. 9, 10. Let's get 2 more. One more. Stretch out real quick. If you got a bench, chair, whatever, kick that leg up. Oh boy. So, exercise 1, done, check. Glute hamstring focused. But again, we still obviously are engaging the quads. There's no separating them. They all work together. You just can shift the tension a little bit. At least in compound movements. When we get into isolation stuff, like leg extensions, leg curls, that's totally different. That's where you can separate the front from the back. Here in a compound movement, when you're moving at both the hip and the knee, you're always working them all. So now, we're gonna do something different, something fun. So, I've got a contraption over here. It's pretty cool. It took me a long time to track this down. So 99.999% of people aren't going to have one of these, so we're not going to use it. But this is a Frank Zane leg blaster. So this hooks on to the front of a mount. I went ahead and welded mine up so I could put it on a rack. But what this allows you to do, put your weights on this thing. I'm going to come over here. Instead of just doing a regular squat, we're able to hold on to something, kick our feet closer, and then we can make this more quad dominant. Look at all that movement as we drop our butt down. Look at all that movement there at the knee and press back up. So this was something that Frank Zane used to use toward the tail end of his career. And I talked to him about it in a conference call, a Zoom call, why he did it. And a lot of it, he was saying, was all those years of really, really heavy squats. Like he and Arnold used to be training partners for a long time, and they would squat crazy heavy. And that took a toll on his back. So he was looking for creative ways to target those quads more with a little less weight. You don't need much weight with that thing. It's like doing a sissy squat. I can come here, whether I just hold on to this or hold on to a bar, that's all a sissy squat is, right? You're trying to minimize the movement at the hip. See, very little movement at the hip, but a lot of movement at the knee. And so that's what we're gonna try to do here. So it's the exact opposite of what we just did. We're trying to get more movement at the hip, less at the knee, to make a glute hamstring, or glute hamstring. This, we're now trying to get more movement at the knee, less at the hip, and make it a little more quad focused. So we're gonna do these with bands. Can't do them with dumbbells because you'd have to hold on to them. You can't do it with a regular bar because you gotta hold on to something. That's why he liked that piece of equipment. But we can do the same thing with bands, but we're gonna do our first set without them because I want you to get a feel for this first. So hold on to something, close to hip height. If you have a bar, a Smith machine, like I said, you could just grab the upright. Matter of fact, you could probably open a door, grab each side of the handle, the inside and the outside, and use that. That would probably work pretty well. So keeping the feet closer to this upright and minimizing the movement at the hip. So in other words, keeping our torso kind of upright through the hip into the thigh. And we want more of the movement to come at the knee. So similar to a sissy squat, but they're not the same. Sissy squat, you get even less movement at the hip. So really control that rep speed down. Let's get a 3 count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So think about leaning back. That's why you want the handle here. Allows you to lean further back, which allows us to minimize some of that movement at the hip. You notice I'm staying on my toes. So next set, I'm actually going to elevate my heels, which is another way to shift more of the focus to your quads. I have a wedge, a foam wedge. You can use a 45-pound plate, whatever you want, just to elevate the heels slightly. We're going to keep going here. I lost count, but I'm just chasing a burn in the quads. I want you to feel it. Who cares how many reps you do? Just do them until those quads start to light up. Starting to feel mine. Nice. Ooh, now we're getting there. Let me do a few more. Oh, that's it. Good stuff. So let's kick that leg up or the heel up, stretch out the quad. Grab a drink of water. Oh. So you see right there, I already have the wedge. Right here. So I'm going to bring that into place. And before I grab the bands, I like to test my distance here. I want to kick a little closer because I want to elevate my heels a little bit more. Now we're going to add the band to it. So there's a couple of ways you could do this, depending on if you have one set of bands or 2 sets. If you have 2 sets and you have 2 bands of equal resistance, you could just go under one foot, over one shoulder, and do the same thing. It looks like suspenders. It's actually a really nice way to do it. But just in case you don't have 2 sets, I'm going to show you how to do it with 1. Dragging my feet here. So we've got to go ahead and get in position here. You want that band right under your heel. Now, unlike a traditional squat, you don't have to go wide. We don't have to go shoulder width or wider with our stance. We can keep it narrow, just like I have it here. I'm going to go ahead and drop all the way down here so I can get this lost our mic. So get that band low, low, low on your neck, as close to your shoulders as you can, so it takes the stress off the back of your neck. And we want to get our legs inside the band, just like that. Keep our torso upright and drop back. Let's keep controlling that rep speed. I'm going to slow down a little bit more. Smooth transition at the bottom, nothing jerky. Save that wear and tear. Ah, yeah. Feeling those quads starting to light up. Let me get one more. Even feeling lightheaded. So definitely one advantage of the two bands, like suspenders, is you're not having to try to fit your head under there, and you don't have that little bit of pressure on the back of your neck, although that's not bad. That didn't bother me. So stretch out the quads, shake off the lightheaded feeling that you should have if you did that right. If you just said that was easy, then you are sandbagging it. I'd say my one tip so far for doing these, which by the way, I've never done before. I've had the idea of doing them when I was using the leg blaster. It's like, what's a real advantage? Well, I don't need my hands anymore. And then all of a sudden I immediately thought of the bands. But the tip would be, nothing but the tip, would be to put one foot in first, put over your head, then step your other foot in. So we'll do that this go round. All right, you ready? Let's get this done. The other thing about doing one leg at a time, we can actually, I think, reverse our order. So let's come here, around the neck, get under our foot. Now we can stand up and position ourselves. So that makes a whole lot more sense than our first go around. Now, come in here, get the second leg in. And you want your feet just wide enough to where that band can go to the outside of your legs. Feel that weight on your toes. Push through the toes, not through your heels. One more. It's a little bit smoother. Man, I want to sit down so bad. We're just going to shake it off. We got one more set of these, and we're going to move to our third exercise. Make a little more quad focus. which, by the way, I haven't forgot about the details of the giveaway. Just hang in there with me. Stick to the end. Ooh, pleasant surprise. That was 3. Mike just saved me and saved you. All right. Love it. All right. So I'm going to put this wedge away. And we're going to move into our next exercise. So I said today is dumbbells and bands. So far it's been bands only. So we're going to grab some dumbbells here and we're going to do an alternating lunge. Now, there's so many different ways to do a lunge. Little tiny nuances, especially like I said, depending on knee position, hip position. But this one is going to be alternating front back. So we're going to grab some dumbbells. We don't want to go too wide with our stance. And it's for the same reason. I'm going to come this way so you can see the length of my stride. If I come really wide with this, it becomes a lot of glutes and hamstrings. So we're going to try to minimize some of the movement at the hip, more movement at the knee. So for this one, we're going to come a little bit shallower. Now look at all this movement at the knee, and we're going to push. It's almost straight up, then back, not at an angle. So in other words, here, it's up, and then off the toes back is the way that I prefer to do it. First set, if you've never done these, don't go too heavy. There is a coordination element to these, which I also think is another benefit. Anytime that you experience instability with a movement, there's a potential benefit, which is you're making all those muscles fire harder, especially all those stabilizer muscles. The potential risk is the instability, if you can't control it, leads to injury. So until you're used to this, don't go crazy with it. I used to go ridiculous with these, especially with a bar on my back. We used to do like 225. Make you strong quick, but that also kind of banged me up a bit. So, best recommendation, find a spot on the floor. I'm actually going to come closer to this line here and use that as my marker. You want to try to aim for that same spot over and over. That's going to help you manage the distance of your stride. So I always do a test one just to see how it feels. Not bad. Make any adjustments. So here we go. Really stabilize your core. Contract your abs. Strong core. You don't want to wobble, especially on that pushback. We can slow these down on the eccentric. Can't really do it on the push though. Otherwise you'll have a hard time getting back to upright position. So we can go 1, 2, push. 1, 2, push. Been a long time since I've done these actually. So I'm even having to get my coordination back. I'll give you a few pointers after this. I lost count at miserable. Come on. Shit. gonna do one more. Now, depending on who you are, how old you are, what kind of injuries you have, if you're saying, hey, James, these say bother my knees. Instead of doing them alternating like this, we can do them in one place like we did with our bands and just shift our tension more forward. So instead of pressing back through the heel, we can shorten our stance a little, come in here and do them nice and controlled, pushing through the toe. So you do have that option. Just depends on what bothers you. We all have that one body part that bugs us. My knees don't really bother me, despite how many times they've been cut into. Lately though, my back's been bothering me. So far, everything we've done today, I'm good. And usually, when that weight is centered and your body is aligned, that's when you're gonna have less problems. When we start shifting the weight in front of us, like last week, we did the goblet squat. That's why I was saying not my favorite. When you got that weight out in front of you, same thing with a front squat. That weight is trying to pull you forward, and that is lighting up your low back. You just got to learn what works for you. Everything that I like, you may not like, and vice versa. But that's the fun of it. Everyone's got their own journey. And that's why I don't like these absolutes with these experts. Never, always. No. Everyone's different. You got to find what you like, what works for you. We were supposed to stretch out the quads real quick. Shape. Oh, so here's the tip I was going to say. Don't keep your stance too narrow, including where you step forward. The distance you have between your feet, you want to maintain in your stride, right? So if I came here, if I brought my other foot to me, I still have the same distance. A wide stance is always going to be more balanced. With this exercise, I see people teetering side by side because they try to lunge in towards the middle line of their body, and now it's like walking in a tightrope. Let's keep that chest out, chin up. It's tempting to want to look at the ground, but don't. I'm actually going to drop down a little. It's not because it's necessarily too hard, but what I feel going on is a little bit of anterior pelvic tilt, where that pelvis starts moving front to back. We want to really stabilize, and that's one of the reasons also that we want to try to just contract everything isometrically through our core, glutes, hamstrings, quads. Be very firm when you press back. In other words, contracting everything. Be as solid as you can. Like if someone's trying to push you, you would kind of brace up. There, I feel better. Nice and solid. You don't want your upper body all relaxed. And breathe. It's almost your cue for contracting your core. There we go, narrowing my stance. I was getting too wide. Way better, there we go. Feel more stable, plus more movement at the knee, more quad. Come on. And don't press with the back leg, just the front. It's a good learning lesson in that, which is it's a little bit of a learning curve. Make little adjustments until it feels right. Like I said, I haven't done these in a while. So even I'm having to sit there and try to recalibrate a bit. So if something feels awkward at first, don't automatically dismiss it. Try making little changes first. Oh man. Grab some water. Sweat my ass off. Whew. So this water bottle is 40 ounces. It's about what I go through in a workout. Usually by the time I'm done, it's empty. It's about all I need. I was never into the carrying a jug of water around the gallon. First of all, I can't drink a gallon of water in a workout. Second of all, I don't want to drink warm water either. Third, I don't want to drink plain water. It's like we all know water is good for us. Doesn't mean we all like the taste or lack of with water. Like that's why with the Maverick, prioritizing taste, yeah, you got to have all the functional benefit, but it's got to taste good. I don't care how good it is for you. If it doesn't taste good, you're not going to want to drink it. All right, let's do this. It's third set. So I'm going to turn sideways. You guys stay right there. So you can see the small change I made in my stride. I was coming just a hair too wide. And by doing that, it wasn't even so much that I was shifting just the attention to glutes and hamstrings, is that I was having to try too hard to push backwards, and that's where I was getting the instability at the hip. So shorten it up a little bit, more movement at the knee, and it's easier to press straight up and then find myself back to that standing balanced position without getting that instability there. But I still want you to make everything solid as you push up. Your core, contract everything. Like I said, best example I could give is if someone's going to shove you, you would firm everything up. You wouldn't be all like loose and jello-y. At least I don't think you would. When Bruce Lee said be like water, I don't think he meant that. Be like jello. Although it'd be probably pretty hard to fight jello. Here we go. All right. Press with that toe. Back foot's just for balance. One more. Now there's some exercises I will go all the way to failure where I can't do another one. This is not an exercise I do that with, because you don't want to get sloppy there at the end, lose your balance, use bad form, too easy to hurt yourself. So I like to take it right up to that threshold, like where I don't think I could get another good clean rep. Stretch out those quads. Other side. So here's a fun little drill. We're gonna do some calves, but before we do, I always talk about mind-muscle connection, thinking about every rep, actively contracting the muscle with your mind, almost as though you're a bodybuilder trying to hit a pose. You don't need weights, you don't need resistance in order to create a contraction, right? You can use your mind to do that. So bodybuilding posing for legs when you're on stage. Quads, most common one. Most guys like to plant their heel. They'll press into it and they'll go ahead and contract the quad as hard as they can. I have seen some people use their toe. I don't feel it the same way. Try it, see which one you're more comfortable with. But we're gonna do some isometrics, basically an isometric hold for quads. Then we're gonna do the same thing for glutes, hamstrings. So plant that leg and then squeeze as hard as you can. Hard as you can. We're gonna hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You should start to shake. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If your leg doesn't start shaking, then you're not getting a good contraction. So this is a nice finisher. It's also a good mind-muscle connection drill. All right, other side. Plant that heel. Squeeze that quad. 1, 2, as hard as you can. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You start to get that high-speed shake. Whew. All right, hamstring glutes. So again, in bodybuilding, this is where you'll see a bodybuilder hitting a back pose. A lot of times a back double bicep. But they don't just stick one leg back and just plant it there. Most of the guys are planting their toe almost like they're trying to dig it into the ground, almost like if you had claws and you were sinking your claw into the ground and you were dragging it across the ground as those claws were in there. And this allows you to contract the hamstrings and the glutes on that one side. So we're gonna do that same thing, 15 seconds. Get ready. If you want to have fun, you can even do it, double biceps. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Ho-ho! You'll feel that in your calf too. Mamma mia. All right, other side. So again, plant that toe like the claws, and you're almost thinking about dragging it in, except you're keeping that foot planted. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Stretch them out. That's how those bodybuilders really get those hamstrings and glutes and calves to pop when they're hitting those back shots. Just because you're posing the upper body, got to make everything on the bottom half look cool too. It's also a good way to start shifting your attention when you're doing that. If you feel your calf start to cramp up, try to relax your calf a little and feel it more in the hamstring, because you're going to experience that, say, in a hamstring curl. If I come to a hamstring curl machine and I'm doing my curls, and if I'm really flexing my foot and you see my toe kind of kick back toward me, that means that my calves are contracting a lot. And remember, your calves, one of the muscle bellies crosses the knee joint. So it is going to assist slightly in this motion right here at flexion at the knee. So you want to, if you're trying to focus on the hamstrings, you want to try to keep your foot kind of relaxed, is what I always tell myself. It's almost like a floppy foot. So try not to flex your toes as you do it. So same thing here, you'll feel that. If you're really like up on your toe, you'll feel your calf contract really strongly. So try to relax the calf and feel it more in the hamstring. And that too gives you better mind-muscle connection. So last thing, we're gonna do some quick calves. Find something to elevate your feet on. Doesn't have to be much. This is sufficient for me. I don't need an extreme range of motion. We can do these a couple ways. We can do it just holding onto a dumbbell in one hand. You can use your other hand to stabilize. You could do it with a band over your shoulder. You could do a combination with a band over the shoulder and a dumbbell. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to use a dumbbell. So I like to just lightly cross the one foot behind, slowly drop the heel, and the key is not dropping the heel low. The key is getting up on your toe there, nice and high, getting a strong contraction. Actually, I'm going to drop down a little. I don't need this much weight. I'd rather better range of motion, meaning they're at the top. They're nice and high. Pause at the top. Control that eccentric. Don't bounce at the bottom. Smooth transition. And back up. It's tempting to get on a calf machine and just stack the thing. Because even people who aren't very strong can get on one of those machines and move a lot of weight, especially with bad technique. But it's also easy to really damage your Achilles tendon. So don't bounce at the bottom. So these, I don't rest too much, just enough to quickly stretch them out, but we're already getting rest on one side as we do the other. My calves already feel tight from that posing we did. All right, we're gonna go right back into it. Don't waste time here. just hit the wall there. Switch. So isolateral stuff, we've done a lot of it today. The downside is it takes up a lot of time. It takes twice as long. But you can at least try to minimize that by not resting as much between left and right side, because as I do my right, the left side is already resting. Oh man, one more. I'm gonna set this down just for a second. Shake it off, stretch the calf. Then we're gonna knock out our last set. And we'll talk about our giveaway for a second. All right, let's do it. This is it right here. It's the end of our workout. Time flies when you're having fun. So I hit the wall here. So what I'm going to do, that was only 4. I'm going to immediately come to the other side, do 4 over here. One more. So I'm going to come right back. Last one's right here. There it is. So make sure, take the time at the end of your workout, go through all these stretches again, really stretch out quads, hamstrings, get on the ground, do a glute stretch, stretch those calves. It's worth taking the extra time. So real quick on our giveaway. So link is going to be in the description below. It's gleam.io. Sign up for it. Go ahead and I think you have to put in your email first. That's step 1. You automatically get points just for signing up for it. It's like a raffle. The more things you do, the more points you get, the greater your chances of winning. So there's that. There's follow the Maverick Instagram page, brand new page. We're trying to get that going. Same thing with the TikTok page. Each of those earns points. And this giveaway, we're going to be giving away the 5-band set of Undersun bands. So the same red and black ones that I've been using here in this workout. Comes with the universal anchor in there. That's our brand new anchor design. So that comes as well. And then a month's supply of the Maverick Multi-V, which is a hydration product plus 23 vitamins and minerals, because our body needs a whole lot more than just electrolytes. So tastes great. So make sure you go ahead and sign up. We'll drop the link in the description. Maybe drop it here somewhere on this page right here. I don't know where to point, but sign up for it. I appreciate the help. We're trying to get that brand going. So any help is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. And I will see you next workout. This was legs. So we've got shoulders tomorrow.